Thank you so much. I really honestly thought some of you were about to leave. I thought that's what I didn't know what that was.
I want you to know that the president of Pakistan did not get a standing ovation. So, anyway, I'm Dan Gleckman, director of the Institute of Politics. We want to welcome you here. First of all, how many of you regularly watch the Jon Stewart show? Raise your hand. Okay, now, how many of you have a positive view of politics in this country? Raise your hands. Okay. How many of you have a negative view of politics in this country? Raise your hands. Okay. And how many of you are first-time attendees to a forum event tonight? Just raise your hand. Okay, right. Well, first of all, I want to tell you how much we're delighted to have Jon Stewart here, not only because he's a great entertainer, but because he's a very significant figure in the American political system. In the year 2000...
No, this is true.
Listen. Now just stay steady, John. Wait till I'm done. In the year 2000, a Pew Research Center survey reported that nearly half of Americans between the ages of 18 and 29 acquired information about the presidential campaign in the year 2000 through late-night comedy shows. And so what we're saying is he is a very important person in this country in terms of getting information out. Nearly 100 years ago, Mark Twain wrote, "The political and commercial morals of the United States are not merely food for laughter, they are in an entire banquet." And as the former Secretary of Agriculture, I can attest to all of that, and I can proudly say we've been feasting on Mr. Stewart's humor for several years now and have been filled with laughter, and we're in for a real treat tonight. So we're delighted to have Jon here, and I'd like to turn the program over to a Harvard senior, Josh Weiner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And actually, I'd like to start by thanking Secretary Gleckman, who has been extremely...
Can I do that as well? Because honestly, for him to pave the way for Jews to get into agriculture. Thank you. Thank you. Really. About time.
But in his public life, he was very funny. He used it as a tool, political humor. And here at Harvard, he's been enormously supportive of this, and he was really instrumental in making tonight happen. So thank you very much. And happy Friday the 13th, and welcome back to the Political Humor series. This is actually our third one. 3 years ago, the 25th anniversary of Saturday Night Live served as a reminder of the important role that political humor plays. And if you remember words like lockbox and strategery, these words came into pop culture through a debate skit on Saturday Night Live. And that skit ended up being so important that Vice President Gore's staff made him sit down and watch it so that he could see how the public perceived him and he could change accordingly.
How do they get him to sit? Just I'm curious, when do they need to just hit him? Drops. It's interesting. I would have liked to have seen that.
See that liberal bias, my ass. So, we've had over the years Al Franken, Chevy Chase be part of this, and tonight, yes, they're not here.
Chevy Chase, by the way, is an asshole.
That's what I've been trying to say.
I don't know if anybody knows that.
Oh, thank you, though. That warms my heart. Wait till you're gone. So, he's been very nice, by the way. So we'd like to have tonight one of the funniest and most influential practitioners of political humor out there. He graduated from William and Mary, and after that, he came back to New Jersey, attended bar, and this is no joke. He collected mosquitoes for the state of New Jersey to test for encephalitis. And as we were just talking about back there, he can tell the difference on site between a male and female mosquito. So this is
Males
true.
have huge cocks. See, the thing is this. The way that you...
After that, he went to New York City to get his start in comedy at the Comedy Cellar, made his debut on the David Letterman Show, moved on to his own show on MTV, Jon Stewart Show, and in 1999, he became the host of Comedy Cellar's The Daily Show. He doubled the ratings, by the way. And he is now an Emmy and Peabody Award winner. Shocking. And we are honored to have him tonight to be the guest on the Political Humor
And yet
Series.
my father still doesn't love me.
I can't say it better than that. Ladies and gentlemen, Jon Stewart.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much for having me. I just want to tell you how honored I am to be at a school I couldn't get into.
this is a proud day for us all. So, Jon, I want to start by asking you, how did a guy like you get into political humor to begin with? How did you start?
In political humor or humor in...
Political humor.
You know, I don't know that anyone ever makes their start in political humor by saying, I will do political humor. I think it evolves. I mean, I think when you first get into stand-up, typically your first 10 minutes of material is about your family, and you exhaust that, and very quickly.
Not in my family.
Yeah, Jews usually get 15 out of it. And Protestants, Catholics get 10, Protestants, there's really nothing funny. And then you do sort of more, standard observational, hey, that's a crazy thing, and that's your next 10 minutes. And then you really get bored yourself and sort of turn your attentions to the world. And I think that's more or less what happened to me in getting into that stage.
Well, 2 years ago, I asked that question to Chevy Chase in this forum, and
He's an asshole.
he is a raging dick. But that's okay. But
Yeah.
right now, let's actually take a look at how he answered this, because this is very interesting. Can we play that clip, please?
Where is it?
It's going to be.
I don't actually do political humor anymore. I did it then because this was a particularly pivotal year. 1975-76, 25 years ago now, was the time that Carter was running his campaign to become nominated, and Ford was president. He had not been elected, and I didn't want him in.
Fascinating. Now, the thing is this. Why did he get the back on a chair and I have to sit like, where did that come from? Stewart will sit on a stool. His experience in bars will serve him well. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. Please be funny. But there, in that clip, Chevy admitted that he actually had an agenda in the political humor that he did,
Yes.
and that it affected his work. So
Yes.
not to put you too much on the spot, but
Yeah.
I want to know, do you have any type of agenda or any type of views?
No.
Not at all.
And if he was honestly being fair with himself, he would realize he didn't either. We do comedy shows, and we tell jokes about things that we care about. And if you guys find that interesting and enjoy it, that's great too. But if I truly had an agenda about changing things, I would probably be working with groups that do that. You know what I mean? I mean, there are groups out there that work tirelessly towards social change, and then there are people who work on a network that has robots that fight each other. So, I mean, it's the idea that I would, in my mind say, I would like to affect the political process, and the best way I think to do it is to follow the film Mannequin 3. So I think that comedians, when they say, I'm affecting social change, are assholes. For the most
So it's
part.
going to be the running theme tonight. Do you have, you don't need to be trying to affect political change, but
Yes.
do you have any political views that even come into the process of how you can say, by the way, most of us here are Democrats, and the rest are legacies. So.
Obviously, I have strongly held viewpoints. Otherwise, the show would be anchorless. But that's besides the point. If you want to enjoy your job and to have passion for it, the best way to do it is to make your work something that you care about. And the only way you can do that is to have a point of view about it. If we just did jokes sort of scattershot into the bushes, it really wouldn't be gratifying. But it's a selfish gratification. It's an itch that we scratch for ourselves more than it is. I'll give you an example. on Wednesday's show, the first act was all about the celebrities who came out against the war in Iraq to raise awareness. Because Lord knows, Iraq, what's that? You know, and so that was our first act, and the second act was geared towards Trent Lott and his sort of Halley's Comet of racism, his sort of every 22 years it's, coming out with one of those, you know, are we on TV? So in other words, that if you were to try to find an agenda there, I don't know that you'd be able to, other than extreme levels of falseness. And I think that's what we just enjoy working on material that we care about more than it is advancing the cause of, you know.
So it's more a personal point of view that comes into the process.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Secretary Gleckman, in his introduction, was talking about the polls that have come out, the Pew Center reports that show
Yes.
that especially people 18 to 24 are enormously affected by your show. Some of them even get most of their news from your show. We just did that poll on here.
That's retarded. You know. You live in an age of information osmosis. There's no way you could get your news, like to even find our show as your only, I mean, we're literally, there's Spanish people playing soccer on a channel, and then if you go 10 past that, you'll find us. Like, there's no way.
You say that's retarded, though, but let's do a different example. I want to update your survey, if that's okay. Can we go back to cheering or raising your hand if you watch The Daily Show when you have access to cable? Okay. Now, let's do the same thing for people who, about on the same basis, watch the evening news.
But the evening news is one of the most narrow definitions of, it's a half hour of, I mean, you've got 5 24-hour channels with tickers that are literally like, they want you to read the news as you hear it. Like it's you know, it's, everybody here accesses the internet. Well, if you have a web page set up on a home page, it comes with headlines. And our show would not be valuable to people who didn't understand the news because it wouldn't make sense. We make assumptions about your level of knowledge that if we were your only source of news, you would just watch our show and think, I don't know what's happening. You know, it wouldn't make any sense.
Well, I agree with you, but in fact, that seems to be what's happening for some
By the
people.
way, I will fucking fight you here and now. Pray to you. I'm not in any way intimidated. You know what? I got a suit too, bitch. I'm kidding. No, but I hear what you're saying. But it is, that's...
Remember the whole conversation we were having about Chevy Chase? Remember that? Back 5 minutes ago?
This is with love.
Oh, I feel it. I'm over it.
Dig it, brother. Seriously, I've hidden the afikoman somewhere in this room.
So come by later on. We'll be
Yeah, baby. Jews in the hat. All right.
Later on, we'll be performing I Get a Kick Out of a Jew, me and Jon together, so we're going to just go nuts here. So so you do think that there is some effect, though? I mean, you do have influence over these people who are watching your show, over 18 to 24-year-olds who watch your show every night and are influenced by what they see on your show. You don't think so?
I mean, I don't watch with them. I don't know. I mean, I do my show, I go home. It's like when people say, what's it feel like to be on television? It feels like not being on television. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like we're on, right now, there's a camera pointing at us. We could very well be on television, but it doesn't itch. You know, it's just, like, are people affected by it? You know, sometimes you walk down the street and they go, hey, I like your show. And then sometimes you walk down the street and go, you're an asshole. You know, I can't, polls are a foolish way for us to find out trends about our society, and I hope that doesn't offend anybody's major.
Well, let me ask you a slightly different question. Have you ever heard from somebody that something you've done on your show has been particularly influential?
Yes.
Yeah, politicians saying that something you did really... No. Well, go ahead.
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
When he got out of music, we did a whole bit about how he was moving on to classical, having mastered, I think, schlock and crap, or something like that. It was like some horrible, like, exactly, completely crass, completely it was just smart-ass, stupid, nothing. So anyway, about a week later, I'm sitting in my office, and my assistant walks in and goes, Billy's here to see you. And I thought, like, oh, there's a 10-year-old kid downstairs. And, I was just like, sure, let me sign a hat. I'm kind of busy right now. And he goes, no, Billy Joel. And Billy Joel came up with like a thug. And he kind of walks in, and I go, are you going to yell at me? And he goes, should I? You know, real piano man like. Should I? And I said, yes, we've told terrible jokes about you. And he said, hey, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be in show business. And I thought, well, why the fuck are you here then? But honestly, that's the only time anybody's ever brought it up to me. Now, I have heard a Gallup poll saying that a majority of adult contemporary stars get their sarcastic jabs from The Daily Show. But I don't, you know.
You know those polls.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
If political comedy was so effective, who was the most ridiculed president in the television era? Clinton.
It is Clinton. Oh,
and
go ahead.
what were his ratings when he left office?
About 60.
Huge.
60?
And he didn't even have a war on terrorism. So
Evildoers.
that's all I'm saying is it's a media fantasy more than it is a reality.
Well, whether or not, then, those polls are true. Let's assume they're not, then. You've seen the people here who have raised
This is
their
how my
hands.
brother gets out of arguments. Let's just say, for argument's sake, if I may, that you're wrong. But just for a moment.
Well,
In the interest of peace.
let's assume I'm wrong, then. And, yeah.
That's how my mother gets out of arguments.
That's how my mother's not going to remember that.
Is that your mom?
That's my mom, right there. Hi, Mom.
How are you?
You get around. Wow. Okay.
This is very, very odd.
Isn't it? I know.
This is odd.
Aren't they lucky?
There's a giant place. What if we put 20 people behind it? How uncomfortable would that be? Because you know what I would have done? And listen, I'm not a political scientist. I would have moved this back there and taken them and flipped them. But guys, listen. Then I wouldn't have 19-year-olds staring at my ass, which is what I don't understand what this is.
You know, I've never thought of it that way, but now that you bring it up, I kind of like
creepy.
it.
It's very creepy.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Well, you've seen how many people are raising their hands because they watch the show. Why do you think your humor is resonating so much? Yours in particular. People are really fans of you. What is it about your humor that... Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a hard question to answer because humor is such a subjective. It resonates with some. Some people think it's terrible. Other people, you know, it's such a niche thing. Even at its best, it's not. There's no longer any Uncle Milty in a dress, and 80% of the country sit by the fire and watch it. Like it's. People are individually shopping for what they like now, and some of them. I mean, believe me, you're all going to have a show at some point. I mean, it's just as the channels expand.
Just my final question is to get back on the Chevy Chase theme.
Yes.
The last thing that when we ended that Chevy Chase forum, I announced that you were going to be our next guest. Mm-hmm. And Chevy had this to say about you. He said,
All right.
He said, Jon Stewart, now there's a guy who copies my work. Jon Stewart. So now I don't want to make...
Right down to the pill addiction. That's a terrible thing to say. That is a terrible thing to say, and I am...
But there is a point...
so Trent Lott of me. What a poor choice of words I used.
There is a real question behind it. I'm sure he was kidding.
Yeah.
But you do follow in a long tradition of people who have done political humor of the sort that you do. Chevy, of course, did it on Saturday Night Live, which I'm sure is what he's referring to. To what extent?
I honestly think he was referring to Fletch.
Oh, it could have been. The proctology scene? Okay.
By the way, when he goes on vacations, those vacations, why are his children always different? Why can't the Griswolds keep their children? Sorry.
Oh, no, fine. But the question is, to what extent are you influenced by people who have come before you? And if so, who are your influences?
In terms of doing our show, it's such a bubble unto itself. I mean, the thing you really fight more than having other influences is losing your perspective. And again, just as a way of illustrating that, on the old show that I did, the Jon Stewart show, it wasn't really about anything, but we had to do it 5 days a week, and the big thing was how do we get 3 or 4 guests a show on there. And here's how you get into the bubble of doing a show. I go to work early in the morning, we sit and we write all day, we do a show, then we sit and we start talking about the next day, and then I go home and hang out with my wife. Like, it's not, you don't have time to think like that, but I do remember being at that old show and somebody opening a door and going with unbelievable urgency and drama in their voice, Hal Linden said no. And I remember at the time, and this was, I believe, America was bombing Iraq at the time, I remember thinking, are the Olsen twins around? So that's what I'm saying, is that you really, your perspective is one of, it's like anything else. When I worked at restaurants and somebody sat 2 people at my foretop, you know what I mean? Your perspective is completely warped by the bubble that you're in. And we try more not to think about influences and what people might like and what they not, but to pull our heads out of our own asses long enough to see the forest for the trees more than anything else.
Fair enough. So before we go to questions, we're about to go to questions from the audience. I just want to get a chance to see if you're willing to do this.
Absolutely.
Great.
What is it?
Just get maybe a little bit of a sense of what you do think about politics. So I invented this. This is the first time we're doing this in the political humor series.
All right.
The lightning round, which sounds kind of scary. There's going to be 5 questions here.
Done it.
Great. Okay. So you ready to go? Is it just short answer? You know, no multiple choice, just or some of them are.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1.
Can you explain it again?
Oh. Okay. You ready to go?
Ready.
I'm ready. Great. All right. Who's going to be the Democratic nominee in 2004?
My guess, Rock. Pet Rock.
Well, it was a quick answer, so I'm going to take it.
They need something with...
Number 2, President Bush, bumbling idiot or underestimated?
Oh my God, brilliant strategist. Bumbling idiot. Bumbling idiot. The man is drunk until he's 40. Wakes up, literally, wakes up and goes, I think I'll be president. That's amazing. For God's sake, Al Gore had been studying for it when he was 2. He got his My First White House when he was 4. Bumbling idiot is, I just ate soap. Come on, be reasonable. These guys are brilliant strategists, the Republicans. They're brilliant. They're brilliantly evil.
Moving on in our lightning
And
round.
the Democrats, by the way, tragically pathetic.
Now we know. Number 3, war in Iraq, if Saddam dodges inspections, is it acceptable or immoral?
If done for the right reasons, liberating a country from a despot, I don't see how that's immoral. Done quickly, and then we all leave, yeah, that's kind of, it's so much, obviously more complicated than that, but they're going to get him. I mean, they're literally, if he doesn't allow inspections, we're bombing him. I'll allow inspections. If he doesn't allow them on Tuesday, I'll allow them on Tuesday. if he doesn't serve fondue, all right, I'll serve fondue. I mean, they're going to do anything that, I mean, it's clear they've cast their die. I mean, you know, as hard as it is for Dick Cheney to get an erection, it's not going to, he's not going to let this opportunity go by.
And I'm glad that's on tape. Thank you. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
It's a visual for the kids.
Number 4, Bush's economic policies getting us out of trouble or causing a recession?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't know they had an economic policy. What is it?
That about answers
Oh, that's
it.
right. I know what it is. Here's their policy. They sit in front of that little, like, backdrop that they sit in front of, and on the words printed it says, economic policy. And then Bush just kind of repeats that 5 times until people in trailer parks go, I guess he's helping. I'm sorry, that's right. They're not marketing wizards. They don't sit in front of, I mean, corporate responsibility spelled out 100 times behind them, and the whole speech is, be good. Don't be bad. Being bad's bad.
Sure. And
I mean, this is why, honestly, this is why nobody votes. This is why, because everybody thinks the whole thing's full of shit, except you guys who have to study it. But the interesting thing is, you know, the whole thing is, you know.
well, the final question is the most important. Who do you think would win in a death match? The chancellor of your alma mater, Henry Kissinger, or the president of Harvard University, Larry Summers?
It's an excellent question. Here's the thing. In a physical fight, Summers would be, I mean, let's face facts. Kissinger's, what, 112. And from what I understand,
Celsius.
hollow. Summers would win the fight, but ultimately Kissinger would carpet bomb. And I think that would be, it's hard to come back from.
That's it. And that is Jon Stewart on politics and political humor. We get to another, I'm not going to say the more fun, this is just a different fun part. Now we're going to open it up to the audience for questions. And there are 2 microphones on the floor here. There's one there, one there.
Oh, that'll be easy
up
for
there.
them to get to.
There's one,
Rappel down.
one there, one there. And you keep the questions short and make sure that they're questions. And identify yourself before you ask. You can say what you do here at the college, what year you are, for example. And you are free to ask anything you'd like, but keep in mind that the theme tonight is political humor. So, it goes to you guys. Let's start here.
Sagittarius. Next. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm James Morgan. I go to school here at the Kennedy School. Do you think that George...
What year?
Huh?
What year?
I'm a second year. I'm fixing to graduate.
Second year fixing to graduate. Oh, okay. Because I was gonna have some bad news for you. All right, go ahead.
What I wanted to know is, do you think George Bush has gotten a pass from the media? Are they being just too easy on him?
In what respect? In the...
Well, I mean,
the media, I'll explain it this way. I think the media has given a pass to everybody in politics. I think they've been too easy. I don't think they're too easy on the Democrats or the Republicans. I think they're too easy on everybody. They've forgotten the idea that their relationship with our government is an adversarial one, not one where you're supposed to sit on the plane with them eating the pretzels and sandwiches they provide. The media has a responsibility to, the general, when the media first became valuable as a tool of insight into political candidates, television at least, it was early 1960s, and everybody knows Nixon-Kennedy debates. But then politicians had hired people to sit and figure out how to use the media, and so they got much better at the manipulation, and the media never caught up. So the offense is much better than the defense. And now we're just getting crushed. We're crushed because the politicians, look at the conventions. The conventions are a 4-day cheap version of, the Billboard Awards. And people go down there and they talk about, did he get his message out? Well, don't let him. So I think they've let everybody down, and it's a shame.
Thanks.
So, sorry.
We're going to go over here next.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Nick Smith. I'm a sophomore at the college. And I'm just curious why you say Chevy Chase is such an asshole.
It's an excellent question.
Are you jealous
on tape.
because you were such a success in the 70s and 80s and 90s?
Yes. I was, what's the word I'm looking for? Kidding? But, yeah, that was like it was like a humorous technique I was using. And, doesn't work on everybody. But, I've never met him. So my guess is he's probably actually.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean,
Is that
he's
true?
I'm
sorry I said that about your
I know him as.
father. I meant no disrespect. I was honestly, I was kidding. I'm sure he's very nice. I really have never met him. But I do know this: he rapes children. I shouldn't have. What I meant was. No, honestly, I honestly know nothing about the man. And we were just kidding around backstage that he had said that thing, and so I thought I'd be funny and say that. It was kind of an inside joke between Josh and I. Old friends of 12 minutes. But I appreciate your concern about his feelings. And, yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ben Bolcher, and I'm a graduate student at the School of Design. And I have a question about Canada. It seems like your show focuses a lot on America. Do you have any comments?
Canada?
Canada politics? Do you have any comments about, can you explain Canadian politics at all?
Canadian politics? Yeah, man. I think it's really cute. I'm glad that they live in our attic because I think they're totally nice and quiet. I think it's hard to govern a country when you're constantly looking at us. You know, there's I remember being in Winnipeg and a woman was all over me, you know, what do you really think of Canada? No, you can tell me. What do Americans really think of Canada? And I was like, we don't. I feel like until we run out of natural resources, they're pretty safe. But the thing is, when we do, they'll have to leave. No, I've always had a very nice time there, but I'm not interested in parliaments. I find that to be or health care. You know.
Hi, I'm Nathan Rosenberg. I'm a sophomore at the college.
What's that, Miss Boca?
That's right. No.
I'm kidding, literally. He's going to come back.
I do have a question if you have time.
I understand you've got to get back to a huge dreidel tournament. All right. Go ahead.
I'm up 5 geld.
Go ahead.
No, seriously, thank you very much for coming down. I've been watching...
Translation, I'm going to circumcise you later.
I'm going to beat your ass like Moby. All right, go ahead.
I've been watching this show since the Kilborn days, and one of the biggest differences was now there's like 6 million ace political correspondents, and there's a new one every month, and I love it. And I was just wondering, like, how much does, you know, when you're sitting around writing the show, how much does it help having those extra people who are actually on the show, you know, Stephen Colbert, Mo Rocca, all those people? What do you think they do, and are they all coveting your anchor position?
I mean, we assemble, you know, the thing about an ensemble is you assemble the most talented people you can find because the truth is, if the show's funny, we all win. So having as many weapons that you can use to approximate the way an actual news show goes about delivering its business is the best way for us to be able to layer the show and give it subtext where it wouldn't exist otherwise. So having talented people that can handle, because unfortunately they get a lot thrown at them at the last minute, and we're literally editing the scripts up, you know, until the red light goes on and we're taping. I mean, from rehearsal to airtime is usually enormous cuts and changes and rewrites, and we don't have a ton of time to do it. So they're all have to be very quick on their feet and adaptable, and they are. And we're lucky to have that kind of ensemble.
Hi, my name is Joe Green. I'm also part of the anti-Stewart Jewish conspiracy.
Hey, man, where's your head at? It's December. Where is your head at? Who's got to? I'm calling your parents. All right, what do you need?
My question is, especially youth seem to become very cynical about politics. And do you think that political comedy, and your show particularly, do you think that you help to contribute to that by focusing on kind of the more personal matters of the politicians? And since we've seen that your show does...
When you say personal, you mean... What do you...
Well, like Clinton's private life or things like that. And instead of, since we've seen a lot of students get a lot of their information from your show, do you think that political humor... do you think political humor adds to that cynicism about politics?
Do I think political humor adds to the cynicism about politics? Yes. I think political humor is the only reason people are cynical about politics, because the politicians themselves give us no reason to question why any of their... I mean, it's, again, this is the age-old, cart before the horse. I will never understand in a million years where people will always say to humorists or people that are doing jokes, where do you draw the line? We're making jokes about shit that other people do. Where do they draw the line? In the media, you do this sort of thing. I'll go on a media show and someone, an anchor or a reporter, where do you guys draw the line? Well, we draw the line that when somebody loses a loved one in a catastrophe, we don't go to their house that day with a camera. That's where we draw the line. Where do you draw the line? In other words, our show is a reaction. And that's all it is. So the idea that we're driving the cynicism in this country, or we're creating a coarseness of culture, is bunk. Bunk, I say. It's their inability to speak in a human and non-managed fashion that is driving the cynicism, in my opinion. It's people that can't take a shit without calling the Pew Research Center, which is, I imagine, why it's called Pew, and saying, what percentage of soccer moms want me to shit right now? It is upsetting. This is a time in this country where people are starved for any moment of Churchillian wisdom to happen. It's such an amazing, we may never have this opportunity again in our lifetimes to create change like we have right now, and we are totally fucking it up. And that is my true opinion of this whole entire situation. It is a wasted opportunity. And I think everyone in this room would gladly do things to help, and that's all.
Thank you.
By the way, I don't really.
My name's Scott Canty. I'm a student here at the Kennedy School.
And wearing appropriate garb for the weather. Thank you.
Grad students know better.
What is this, like The Outsiders all the time? Do it for Johnny. He's a grad student, just like us. Go ahead, Pony Boy.
Several weeks ago, Victoria Clark, the Pentagon
Vicki Clark, head of the Pentagon. She's the, the spokesperson for the Pentagon.
Right. She came and spoke here and was very excited about a recent appearance on your show. Mm-hmm. And she said that she viewed it as a way to try and communicate some of what she's trying to do with her superiors in the Pentagon to a younger audience. Not to reopen that argument, I was wondering whether or not you actually have people who are coming to you at this point to try and use your show as a vehicle to get a message out, or if you're still having to go find them.
Well, we like to pick and choose. We don't take, you're not going to take everybody. Bob Barr might want to come on, but that doesn't mean he's on. But yeah, of course they do. I mean, they are users. They are succubuses. They are they have set up a system that is inviolate, that they don't want us to permeate, and yet they want to get their message across in a manner. I want to bring taxes to the working people of America. I mean, we want to help hard-working families, because the non-working families are really fucking us all up. You know, I don't even understand, but of course, they will use anything, and they look at us like, well, I'll sit on your show, and kids will think I'm with it. And so they'll come on there, and that's how they use it, but it's using. They're using us, and we're gladly letting them, because I find it amusing.
My name's Natalie Pavelski. I'm a Nieman Fellow here at Harvard and a correspondent at CNN.
Ass. What is that, like a Nieman? What is that?
It's this. It's for journalists, a dozen domestic and a dozen imported, and we come to Harvard and expand our brains for a year.
Okay. I thought it was like Leroy Nieman, like you come here and like paint colorful pictures.
Actually, I am taking an art class. Well, at CNN, we regard being lampooned on The Daily Show as just the highest mark of professional achievement. And you've never mocked me. What do I got to do? Can you give me some advice?
I'm going to say make out with Blitzer. I've certainly dreamed about it.
That wasn't me. My name is Baratunde Thurston. I graduated from the college back in '99, and actually I'm a stand-up comedian now. Really appreciate your show, and just thanks for coming, first of all.
Can I tell you something? You are wasting a Harvard degree, my friend.
Thanks for the advice. My mother said the same thing. I wanted to know, I mean, I do some political material myself. Do you ever get frustrated? Some of the issues you touch on are very serious. You know, people's lives are at stake. There's pain involved. Is there ever a moment when comedy's not enough, and you feel like, not that you've crossed the line, but that you could actually go further outside of comedy? Do you ever feel like that's that is never
in terms of wanting to be? I'm not quite sure.
If you
do you mean like if the audience recoils in horror because it's not funny, or?
No, I mean more specifically, if you're highlighting a situation which upsets you or which you find a sense of irony.
Okay, and they don't laugh?
No, not even about the like right now. That's not what I'm talking about. But do you ever feel the need to act beyond your role as a comedian when you see a situation? Never. Okay.
I mean, I give great credit to the people that actually do that. I mean, I have opinions and I do express them in a way of frustration, but that I wouldn't do that on stage because that would suck.
Right.
I mean, that's not. If people want to come to a comedy show, the least I can do is at least try to make it funny. That being said, a lot of people, like I say, it's very subjective, and no matter what, even if you have a room full of people that are laughing real hard, some are going to walk out and go, Carrot Top's better. You know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, but you'll get used to that. Congratulations. I wish you well, because it's a fun business.
All right.
Hi, Sam Lesson. I'm at the college, sophomore. Also another member of Team Dreidel. But the question, I just want to ask you, I know a lot of sophomores and juniors probably have this question on their mind, especially at this time of year. Just a simple yes or no question. Can I have an internship for the summer?
That'd be a no. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Honestly, I don't do all the hiring. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Vasi Reddy, and I'm a freshman here at the college. I was wondering what you what you thought about the role of political humor during times of crisis. Like, I know during September 11th, like immediately after that happened, you and a lot of the other late night comedians came out with these amazing, like, emotional, visceral monologues and reactions, and then it was right back to business, making people laugh. And I was wondering, is that hard for you? And is it, like, what do you think, how do you think that it has an impact on, like, people's morale and helps them maybe get back up from a tragedy like that?
I would imagine television in general has an atmospheric effect on people's morale, but not a direct one necessarily. Was it hard to get back to doing humor then? Sure. But it was hard because it was a personal tragedy, not just for the country, but especially, you know, one of the reasons, and September 11th was horrific, but it also occurred in the media capital of the country. So we saw it in a way that was much more visceral than we would have seen. In many respects, I felt guilty about the way I had just moved on with my life after Oklahoma City, quite frankly, because it didn't have the same impact, as tragic as that was, as what this was, because it happened in my sight. And so, yeah, it was, but it would have been hard to get back to anything. And we were the last people to get back to work. And we should have gotten back sooner. And, you know, but it's hard to get on a show and try and be funny for a lot. You know, there have been personal things in my life. It's just, but it's people that pave roads have to go back too, so. That's what it is. Yeah.
My name's Jim Moran. I'm a freshman at the college. I'm just wondering, what's next? I mean, do you have...
This? Why? What do you know? What have you heard? Did they send you here to fire me?
Do you...
So this is how it's gonna be. Wouldn't that be an awesome way to fire me, though? Like, I come here and everybody's talking, and all of a sudden some guy goes, "Oh yeah, how you doing? I'm a freshman here, and my dad owns the network, and you're fired." I guess what I'm saying is, pack up your shit and giz out.
I was just wondering, are you planning on...
I really like doing the show. I mean, I won't lie to you and say it's not a grind sometimes.
Are you planning on moving to the network, or is there Death to Smoochie 2 in the works?
Death to Smoochie 2. Typically, film success builds on previous film success. And with my filmography, if you will, no, I don't have, you know, I wish I was a planner. I'm really not. And the job is, when opportunities present themselves, hopefully I'll figure out a way to take them. But I'm perfectly happy doing what I'm doing.
I'm Andy Jorgensen. I'm a freshman at the college.
Andy Jorgensen giving himself a promotion. I'm Andy Jorgensen, and I'm a Neiman Scholar. Yes, I am a Neiman Scholar. No one can stop me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You were talking about the writing process. I'm wondering, there's a lot of issues out there, and you only have so much time each night.
Yeah.
How do you know which issues are going to be funny and which ones are going to hit, and how do you know which ones to pick to talk about every night?
Andy, there are elves that live in my basement. And when I'm asleep at night, they crawl down from the tree, and they sprinkle dust in my ear. War on terrorism. Hilarious. You honestly don't. It's in many respects, it's like saying, how do you know a song's gonna sound nice? You don't. And it's intuitive, and it's oddly sensory. I can't explain it, but you do have a sense of structure and how it'll work and how it won't. And I mean, it's not, you don't pull it out of the ether, but you work at it for a long time, and you just sort of start to learn what the rhythm is and that sort of thing.
My name is Eli Holman. I'm a student at the education school. I was curious if... we're a tight group.
Oh my God. Education school in the head.
I was curious if you'd ever considered sort of making a clean break from the world of news anchoring and really run for office, or if you've gotten a lot of pressure from other people to do that.
There are pictures of me floating around that would disqualify me from working at the post office, let alone, you know, I mean, no. I don't, I really like what I do, and I hopefully feel like I am decent at it, and public offices, that's a whole other thing that people do.
Thank you.
No, you know.
Hi, my name is Margot Kaplan. I'm a graduate student here at the Kennedy School.
Yeah. What does that mean, by the way? Like when you say, what do you guys study? Like.
Me? Okay.
No.
You got time, okay?
Yeah.
I'm actually, people here do an MPP or an MPA. This is going to mean a lot to you. They do a master's in public policy or master's in public administration. We're not sure, really.
But like, if you get out, do you get to go be mayor? Like, what would be the...
Some other guy in my class has got that job.
Would they like hire you at a think tank or something, or you'd go like for work for a lobbyist? Or?
I'm a joint law student, so I'll probably sell out.
All right. What's your question?
It has to do with how you choose your material.
Yeah.
There are times I think that you clearly want to choose material that is humorous, but are there times when you feel the tension between that and the opportunity that you mentioned to actually send a message, and do you feel sometimes the tension between going for a cheap laugh or something that might be darker?
I'm a huge fan of the cheap laugh. I think the show is what we try and do is build a show that is balanced. And I don't mean balanced ideologically or balanced politically, but balanced in the sense of, so much humor becomes very strident at a certain point, whether it be on the left or on the right, because it becomes about the opinion more than it is about sort of hopefully a smart, funny take on what you're doing. So hopefully our show is balanced. We don't always hit that balance, God knows, and there are a lot of days when we're just pumping out a comedy-like substance, like a styrofoamic humor. But we very much try and balance pointed humor with sillier stuff, and again, it's all feel. And that's why sometimes the show sings in a rhythm that's wonderful, and at other times it feels like, everybody's in molasses and the thing couldn't get done sooner, so. It's hard to describe. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Courtney. I'm a senior at the college. And I had a question about some of the segments you do that are pre-recorded, faux interviews with people.
Yeah.
The one that sticks out in my mind is the one where...
interviews.
Well, that's my question. I remember there was one segment with one of the last living original Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz, and the correspondent all of a sudden just started screaming, "How do you feel about dwarf porn?" And the man was hard of hearing and just kept screaming dwarf porn, and it was hilarious. Do these people think you're real reporters, or do they know you're comedians? Because I swear, my mother still comes up to me in the kitchen and goes, "Dwarf porn!" It's great.
That's one of the most disturbing stories I've ever heard.
Don't get any ideas, Mom.
It's, what do the people think? Boy, oh boy. I just don't know. I mean, we don't ever tell them we're from 60 Minutes, if that's what you're asking. I mean, we tell them very clearly we're from The Daily Show. If they recognize that as something on Comedy Central, great. If they think that's something that's on MSNBC, hey, that's fine too.
Hi, my name is Julie. I'm a sophomore at the college. I was curious what type of qualities you look for in a guest and who would be your ideal guest if you could pick one now.
I so rarely pay attention to them. The truth is, that's the least interesting part of the show to me, usually. It's really the guest segment is there so that we don't have to write another 5 or 6 minutes of comedy. Because it's difficult. We're writing a 40 to 50 page script every day and putting an extra burden on us. We are a cable show, so we don't have the resources that some network shows have. It's, the idea of anybody getting excited because somebody from this movie is going to show up and tell them what it was like to work with Mel Gibson. It's rare that those things raise out of mediocrity, but when, I mean that on myself, I don't mean that on them. I mean, they're just doing what they have to do to feed the beast. And I am one of the beasts that needs to be fed, and I could obviously do a better job at preparing for it, but I just don't find it that particularly interesting. But when we have... Should I not be honest? Is this supposed to be like... What I meant to say was, I'd love to interview Springsteen. The Spice Girls are fascinating. I like interviewing more of the political people just because it's more interesting to see whether or not they're robots. And so other than that, You rarely get a human moment in any of it. People are all shocked and just...
Hi, I'm Emily Spangler. I'm a senior at the college, and I was wondering what advice you have for someone looking to go into comedy writing.
Oh, boy, that's a hard one because it's hard to. Do you like to do it?
It's actually, I'm asking for my sister. I'm not very funny.
Well,
I kind of want bragging rights that I asked you this question.
Is
You
that,
told me.
what does she want? I mean, I don't know how to answer it other than, people say, like, how do you become a stand-up comic? Like, well, you get on a stage and you tell jokes and you write down the ones that work, and the ones that don't, you try not to do anymore. And I think writing is that same thing. Like, you have to be motivated to. I mean, the only advice that I would give is, I hope that your desire is to get good at it as opposed to become a working, if the goal is to become good at it, then that's all you can hope for. I would just suggest to her that she write a lot and get good at it. I'm like the shittiest advice giver ever. Literally, how do I get to be a baker? Well, I would suggest getting dough. And I would turn on the oven, perhaps put the dough in it. That's how I did it back in 1848. I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Jeff Jacobstein. I'm a freshman at the college.
Yes, sir.
I'm a...
Yes, I get it.
I have 15 grade.
Let me explain something. Jews don't have to announce themselves anymore. It was the shtick I was going for. I haven't been to synagogue, and it's got to be 23 years. My wife is Irish.
It's all about pressure.
Go ahead.
My question was, after a short time after September 11th, Bill Maher made some comments that sort of got him in trouble with the network and things like that. And do you think that, in general, comedians should be more interested in saying what can just make jokes that please the general public, or go to really saying what they believe in their comedy?
Well, I think what I would take exception to is that those are the only two options. And you don't have two options. It's not pander to the public or speak the truth. I mean, let's face facts. There's so many outlets. Lenny Bruce died for our sins, but it's not that world anymore. And if I can walk into the Harvard School of Government and go, cock, it's clear to me that those boundaries have come down. And so I don't imagine, is it commercial television? Yeah, that's the gig when you sign up. But is it a draconian system where, the censor stands behind you and he said WC, pull him. And I feel like on our show, we don't think about the audience at all. We just don't. And that's not meant in disrespect. It's meant actually in respect. That we do what we feel is the best we can do. And if that appeals to you, man, that pleases us. But what joy would there be if we didn't? And as far as speaking the truth, I don't even know what that,
Up there. Hi, my name is Julia. I'm a Neiman affiliate.
Hey. You keep at it. You'll get there.
Thank you.
Just didn't give enough money. You'll get there.
I wanted to follow up on the Bill Maher question and ask you to tell us a little bit about how you felt when he lost his show.
When he lost his show?
Yeah.
You make it sound like when he lost his baby. It's a television show, the same way I felt when Shirley Booth lost Hazel. I mean, it's a fucking show. Like, I don't know, how I felt when his multi-million-dollar contract expired and they didn't renew it. I was shocked. I mean, I've been canceled. This is show business. The idea that there's some entitlement that we all have that, they ratings and it's a business, and I don't look at it like he lost his show. I look at it like he had 8 or 9 years of incredible run. And what an incredible privilege and wonderful thing that is for somebody in this business to have.
So you wouldn't hold back and keep things back so that you wouldn't risk losing your show?
Well, I don't even know that. I wouldn't. I mean, how do I outsmart that? How do I know what that would be?
Right.
I mean, A, he said what he said, and I guess the public wisdom is he said what he said, and that was it. Suddenly, the black helicopter swooped down and cut the beam. The signal was gone. The truth teller had been silenced. I mean, the fucking thing ran for another year. I mean, it ran for another year. I mean, they suppressed him. He went on every talk show in the universe after that. I don't understand this idea that it was censored. I mean, what was censored? I mean, I honestly don't, I don't mean that in a mean way. I just don't know. He said something and caused a furor, but it's not like he was then shuffled out, you know, and bound and gagged, and it's nothing that, you know, it's like the whole idea that, you know, Gore Vidal's book, you know, Perpetual War for Peace, you know, and it's out there. He didn't get arrested and get thrown in the gulag. It's just a shitty book. I read it, it's boring, and it doesn't really mean anything. So it's this odd idea that somehow we've all been censored. Nobody in that side has been able to gain traction. But that doesn't mean they're being censored. No? I don't know. You know. But also, by the way, I thought what he said was asinine. I mean, that being besides the point, the idea that the suicide bombers that flew into the buildings were courageous, then the Heaven's Gate people must be fucking lion-hearted. I mean, if the idea that you are indoctrinated to believe you're going to a much better place than where you're coming from, and the way to get there is to take out as many innocent fucking people as you can, and that's bravery, fuck that.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a freshman at the college. And in regards to your film career, I want to say Playing by Heart was awesome.
I apologized already.
No, it was awesome. I loved it. Yes. Sorry, what?
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. I was just wondering, do you guys ever get in trouble for making the people that you interview look stupid or crazy when you do the interviews with the relative unknowns with the correspondents?
Oh, I mean, no. People are usually pretty excited to be on TV.
Even in that form?
You know, and we honestly, I mean, I guess I don't feel like we go out to make fun of them. We usually like to make ourselves the butt of the joke, unless it's somebody we feel is truly worthy of scorn. Like there was one guy that felt like this new Tropicana orange juice commercial with Popeye and Brutus made you gay. But he wasn't some fringe lunatic. He was part of a Washington think tank. And I mean, this is what, I mean, the one thing that the right has, I will say, over the left is crazy infrastructure and funding. But this guy had a real office in a real building with real people working around him, and sure as hell thought this fucking commercial would make you gay. Did we try and make him look stupid? Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're running a little bit late here, so we're going to take...
I'll stay when we're done! You'll stay when we're done.
So actually then, we're going to take 2 more questions. We'll start here with Betsy.
Hi, my name is Betsy Sykes, and I'm a junior at the college.
All right.
Let's talk about Rudy Giuliani a little bit.
Bring it!
You went from you went from New York City dictator to man of the year, century, etc., sort of overnight. What do you think of him, and what do you think his next move should be?
What do I think of him? That is a complicated issue. I think he has grown in a way, you know, what he did for our city was magnificent. There's no getting around it. The guy was, in a time when we all, I mean, you have to put it in the context of that day, grabbing your wife and calling and finding out if, you know, my sister-in-law works in the towers, and getting all our stuff and getting ready to go and feeling like the world was ending, and him carrying himself with dignity and with courage made us feel like we were going to survive. I don't know how to describe it any other way, and Does he overreact to elephant dung on a Virgin Mary painting? Yes. But in that moment, I would have followed that man into the building. And that forgives for me a lot of sins. That showed me his heart. And do I agree with him all the time? God, no.
Should he be president?
Should he be president? Whoa. If the country was on fire, yes. I mean, other than that, I don't know.
Over here, you have the honor of the last question.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jared. I'm a junior at the college.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan
Well,
of...
you've lost a lot of weight on Subway sandwiches.
I try.
I'm sorry. Different Jared, I'm sorry.
I'm a huge fan of the Larry Sanders Show, which you were on
Show, sure.
during its last season when you were supposed to take over. And I was just wondering if you enjoyed that kind of sitcom work more than the usual host of television show work that you usually do.
I enjoyed the sitcom work more than film necessarily. I mean, it was grueling because the writing process on that is somewhat different. It was mostly, there were about 5 of us who would just sit in a room, and Gary Shandling is so brilliant at conceiving everything in his mind, and then we would sort of try and transcribe his vision of it and then hand it to him, and he would look at it and go, you can fucking... You know, it's just a different, you know, you're working into the night and you lose your bearings and everything, but it's gratifying, but you don't perform it in front of a live audience, so you don't get that jolt. But I learned a shitload doing it. I mean, it was, he's the master, and it was wonderful to learn from him.
That episode with you with the Nazi Jeopardy skit and Wu-Tang was incredible. I fell off my chair laughing.
Thank you. That was written, we based that on what actually happened to me when I had my old show. What he's referring to is we did a Larry Sanders show where Larry Sanders, Gary Shandling, is getting moved out, and I'm getting moved in as the young host. And the network tells me to put my stamp on it. They want it to be hip and edgy. So I write a Hitler sketch, and I book the Wu-Tang Clan. And needless to say, by the end of the episode, they pull the plug, and nothing ever gets on air. But that's based on 2 weeks into my Paramount show. We had a writer come out as Adolf Hitler as a guest. And I brought him out, and we showed a clip of him at Nuremberg, you know, and, you know, we said to him, and he's like, hey, yeah, I was really angry back then. And it was all about, you know, his transformation. And it was sort of the idea was this idea of the apologist culture, and, you know, he came out with a bagel. I don't know what I was thinking. These are delicious, you know. And we thought it was hilarious, and the audience, rightly so, booed us. And the Paramount executives called and pulled the show. And but that's what that was based on. But I'm glad you enjoy the Sanders stuff. I enjoyed doing it. So cool.
Okay. Well, thank you for the questions. And one quote, by the way, that since we were talking about September 11th before, this quote came from you when you came back to your show. The quote was, "The view from my apartment was the World Trade Center, and now it's gone. They attacked it. The symbol of American ingenuity, strength, labor, imagination, and commerce is gone. But you know what the view is now? The Statue of Liberty. The view from the south of Manhattan is now the Statue of Liberty, and you can't beat that." That was from Jon Stewart when he first came back after September 11th. Now it's your turn. We're about to close. You have got the ear of 1,000 Harvard students here. Is there anything that you want to say?
Be Yale. I want to thank you all for coming out and showing interest in all this. It really does. We consider the ability to do our show a great privilege, and we work awfully hard to try and make it as good as it can be every night. And I know a lot of nights it doesn't hit that, but know that we're trying, and know that we respect you enough to keep trying. And thank you for watching it. Thank you. Very nice. All right.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank Thank you. There are a few thank yous
Hold
here.
on.
Yes.
Take that, Chevy Chase.
So, thank you very much again to Secretary Gleckman for making this happen tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to the to the forum staff, Bill White, Greg Wilson, Karen Kane, Kathy McLaughlin,
guys.
Julie. Thank you very much. And to the first person to accept the invitation for the Political Humor Series, even though he was the last one, Jon Stewart.
Take care.
Thank you all for coming.
How are you doing, Dennis?
No, it's